Okay, question 2 says, use your knowledge of special right triangles to find the missing side lengths and angle measures. Give all answers in simplest radical form, meaning that your answers should be exact. No calculators are needed. So on the first question, it's a 30, 60, 90. So when we look at our picture here, we know that 8 matches up with the side across from 30. So the side across from 30 here is x. So that's our zoom factor. So then we put in 8 for all of the x's. So 2 times 8 would be the hypotenuse. So that would be 2 times 8 is 16. And then 8 square root of 3 is going to be the side across from 60, which is here. So 8 square root of 3. And then we're going to make sure that we put our answers in here. V was 8 square root of 3. And U is 16. Then on the next one, so 45, 45, 90. So then we're going to use this picture right here. So the side they give us is the hypotenuse, but the hypotenuse here is x squared root of 2, but this is 10. So we have to write an equation. 10 equals x square root of 2. So then we're going to divide both sides by square root of 2, because currently these are multiplying to get x alone. So then that cancels out here. So this right here is our zoom factor. And we know that the zoom factor is on the sides here. So we are going to just write 10 square root over the square root of 2 for both of these. So then we're going to write it here. 10 over square root of 2, 10 over square root of 2. Okay, and then on C is a 30, 60, 90, because that 60 right there. So I'm going to put 30 here. Across from a 60 is normally a square root, but here it's not. So it's the same kind of idea here where we're doing 27 equals x square root of 3. We're using the square root of 3 this time because we're talking about the 30, 60, 90. So then we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3 to cancel that out, get it out of there. And this is your zoom factor. This one's different though because you don't have zoom factor on each of these sides. You only have zoom factor across from 30. So that one we're going to just write 27 over the square root of 3. So that is the x part right here, 27 over square root of 3. But then for the y, what we have to do for the hypotenuse is 2x, which is this side. So 2 times 27 is going to give us the answer to that. So 2 times 27 is 54. So 2 times 27, oops, so sorry. 2 times 27 over the square root of 3 is going to be 54 over the square root of 3. So that's 54 over the square root of 3 on this one. Okay, and then part D is the 30, 60, 90. In this part, we get the hypotenuse, which is 2x. So 2 times what number is 16? That's going to be 2 times 8. So 8 is our zoom factor. So then we're plugging in 8s for all of the x's here and putting them in the right spots. So I'm going to put my 30 degrees up here. Across from 30 is supposed to be our x, which is our zoom factor, which we decided was 8. So we're going to put 8 there for y. And then across from 60 is supposed to be x squared root of 3. So here is going to be 8 square root of 3. Then on E, that's a 45, 45, 90. And the side we're given is the x side, which is the zoom factor. So we're putting in 6's into all the x spots. So 6 and then 6 square root of 2. That should be a quicker one because it's oriented the same way as the toolkit. Everything looks the same. And then on F, it's also a 45, 45, 90, but in this case, they give you the hypotenuse, which is going to be x square root of 2. So x here is 10, that's our zoom factor. So then we can put 10s in these spots. And then in the next question on number 3, it says, while working on homework, Zachary was finding the value of each variable in the diagrams below. His first step for each problem is shown beside the diagram. If his first step is correct, continue solving the problem to find the solution. If his first step is incorrect, explain his mistake and solve the problem correctly. So normally we'd write equations like this, but this is sine, and the only time you can use sine is when you have a right triangle, and it's not a right triangle. So wrong, not a right triangle, and then we're going to solve it because in this case, it wasn't a right triangle. So our only options for non-right triangles are law of sines and law of cosines. We always start with trying to see if it's law of cosines by side angle side, but we don't have information on side angle side. We do have side angle side here, but it has to have numbers on it and it doesn't. So we're gonna use law of sines instead to help us solve. So I'm gonna use capital A here, just because I decided that was gonna be A, and then lowercase a here. But then when I try to do like capital B or any of that, things aren't matching up. So I need to be able to get some more information to be able to solve. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to find this missing angle so I can use this angle and that side. So I'm gonna do 180 minus 63 minus 16. Oh, that is not what I did though. Because the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So this is 101 degrees, and then I can use that combination. So this could be B and lowercase b, and I'm actually not going to use that 63 anymore at all. So then I've got sine of 16 degrees over x equals sine of 101 degrees over 10. And then I can cross multiply here. Cross multiply, I have 10 times sine of 16 equals x times sine of 101. Then what we're going to do to solve that is divide both sides by sine of 101 to get the x alone, because this will cancel out on this side. And then we're going to type all that into the calculator. So yours might look a little different than mine. Actually, here, I'll use one of my yellow calculators for that. So we're gonna do control divide to get ourselves a template, and then 10 sine of 16 over sine of 101. So we get 2.808, and let's just make sure we're reading here about rounding. I don't think there's any information about that, so we're gonna just leave it as 2.808. Let me check the answer key real quick on number 3A. Yeah, 2.808. So there's no rounding on that one, which is our, oh, I'm so sorry, our x. Okay, and the next one, looking at B, they are using the law of cosines. It's a non-right triangle, it's side angle side, so that looks good. Uppercase C, lowercase c, it looks like they made 10a and 70b. Let's check the formula compared to the formula on our toolkit. It looks like everything's squared. We got minus 2ab cosine of our angle 50. They didn't use parentheses, but that's not too big of a deal. So all that's good, so correct. And we just have to finish this problem now. So we're gonna type all that into our calculator. So I'm going to type 10 squared plus 70 squared minus 2 times 10 times 70 times the cosine of 50. And then I'm going to recheck real quick just to make sure I typed everything in there right. And I've got x squared equals 4100.09734644. And then I want to make sure I get x by square rooting. So I'm going to do control squared. And then I'm going to either click up there and push enter to copy and paste it, or there's some other options. If you'd like to know, feel free to come ask. And then we're going to round this 64.032. And check the answer key on that one for B. 64.032. There you go.